This is the third attempt at recording this. Because I just haven't been on YouTube in a while, and I forgot how to do everything. I'm old. I got ADD and probably autism, and whatever. Anyway, so everything's recording, yeah? Alright. And I gotta shave, but we'll worry about that later, alright? I won't bring you along for that. You can just imagine, like, I'll probably just shave normal here, right? Anyways, I want to show you today, on this glorious Monday, my guitar rig and how I practice guitar every day. I practice, come on, I'm playing it so that I don't go crazy, and it calms me down, and I don't have mental breakdowns, and it's cheaper than therapy. I mean, okay, it's about the same cost as therapy. I mean, but you only pay once, you know. You buy all this crazy stuff, and then you had it, right? It's like buying a therapist and then just keeping them in the closet or something like that and feeding them some crackers and stuff. Anyway, let's check out my guitar rig. Right? Come on. There it is. Oh my God, it's glorious, right? This is kind of how I practice guitar. There's a lot going on. I don't normally have me on video because I don't need to see me. Although some people advise you practice in front of a mirror. I mean, that's solid advice if you're gonna perform, which I guess I kind of am if I'm making videos, but maybe I should leave that up. I'm using my phone as a webcam, and this is a Firefox instance that's, tuned to the phone server or whatever, using DroidCam. Pretty cool. Anyway, the whole guitar rig, the whole thing runs through Carla here. Carla. Oh, let's do, no, come on, up here. Up. Oh my God. There. Anyway. Maybe I should start by saying I'm using Linux and a tiling window manager called Hyperland. Now, Hyperland is a tiling window manager, as I said, and the thing it does is tiling. You know, it tiles all your windows, neatly organizes them as they appear. You know, I can open up a window and it just organizes it for me. I don't have to grab it and move it around. You know, I can, but I don't generally have to, you know. And you can do everything with the keyboard. It's really nice. But one of the cool things about Linux, you know. Anyway, so this whole thing, sorry, we're going to go back to this. This is Carla Rack. It's an application for Linux, and it loads VST plugins and LV2 plugins. And basically what those are just sound effects or ways to change your sound. And it loads Windows ones. Which is kind of cool, because I have a lot of Windows ones. They don't make it, you know, so a lot of the good ones are made for Windows, and they ignore Linux because they're jerks. No, they're not jerks. Linux doesn't have the biggest market share yet. It's getting bigger, though, with Windows doing all the shenanigans and the spying and the AIs and whatnot. But yeah, it's not big enough market share for developers to go, hey, you know what? I'm going to spend 120 hours to make it work on Linux. You know, even though it's usually not that hard, but they just don't. They just don't even think about it. So, you know, us Linux people have to figure out how to make it work. But anyway, Carla just kind of works. You know, I use it in conjunction with an application called YaBridge, Y-A Bridge, and that, that tells the computer where my plugins are or whatever and loads them up, and then I load them up in Carla. And I did the thing again. Anyway, Carla in the patch bay, you know, this is what it looks like when you load it up. You know, all your plugins are right here. And then in the patch bay, you connect them all with these virtual wires, which is super cool. I think it just looks awesome. If you're familiar with working with like graphics programs where you're using nodes and stuff like that, or sometimes programming things or game development, this will be very familiar to you. You have inputs and outputs, different kinds of inputs and outputs. Like the red here is for MIDI control, so I can use controllers to control certain things, like my looper or my guitar rig or whatever. And the blue is for like audio signals and stuff like that. Anyway, so let's continue the tour over here. I have, on the very far left, the most important thing I have loaded is my guitar amp, my guitar amp simulator. And I use a plugin called Guitar Rig 7 by Native Instruments. And it was a couple $100 or something like that, worth it. It's got everything I need and not much I don't. I like it a lot. I would highly recommend this one. I start out with an EQ. I use this high pass filter to pull out some of the bass, right? Get rid of the muddiness of my sound, and then I add a little bit of treble for some sparkle, like sparkly sound sometimes. I like the option, and then let's see, this is a compressor, barely even on, but it does a little bit, just since I play very quiet with the pads of my fingers and I don't use a pick. Sometimes when I pluck things, it's so quiet you can't make it out. So this just raises that volume up a little bit on the quiet stuff, and if it's really loud, it kind of takes it down a hair, but barely on. I got some tube distortion right here, tube simulation called Dirt. This is kind of like a Fender style amp. It's a really solid one. I like it. It's my favorite amp on here, but there are like quite a few amps that come with the software. You can have like a Marshall stack or something like that, or a AC30 like a Vox or something like that. There's a lot of stuff like that. Big old like Engel Powerball, you can do metal stuff, whatever you want. Very cool. And they have some of their own too, which are pretty solid. And then I have another EQ on there. I'm pulling a little bit more out of the high frequency, or the lows. I'm pulling the lows out a little bit with this one. And then another compressor, just barely on. That just kind of makes volume levels a little better. Like things are a little bit less jarring. And then I have a solid delay, just about 15% mix on that, just barely on again. You can hear it. I like to keep my feedback between 20 and 30%, so you hear like 2 or 3 echoes, right? If you really listen, you can hear 3 echoes. And then this is a really nice reverb that comes with it. Barely on, just a little bit wet, Over here, I have a tuner, and what you can't see, you can see it over here. I have a compressor that runs into this tuner that gives the tuner a better, like a stronger signal. So otherwise it's a little bit like quiet for the tuner to hear. So the compressor just means I can pluck quietly and it'll give the tuner a nice signal, and I can get it in tune really fast. And then right above that, I have an oscilloscope, which is really nice to play with. Actually, I like to look at the sound waves. It's another metric by which I can judge the quality of the sound I'm making, right? On the fly. Is visual feedback. It is kind of a game changer. Like, it seems unnecessary, but then when you have it, the way you play when you're watching it is better than when you're not. So I tend to keep one up and have it, run my sound through it. It's just like any old oscilloscope. I could take any signal, electronic signal, and run it through that, and it would just be like an oscilloscope. There's all the same controls, the trigger, and everything. I mean, how cool is Linux, right? Above that, I have an old program called Mobius, and it's a looper, like a live looping program. So I can play a drum beat into it, and then hit my foot switch, and it'll repeat the drum beat, right? And then I can move over to the next track and record something, maybe a bass line or something like that. Pretty cool. I kind of tend to just record a basic drum beat though, and just have it loop that, and then I just jam along with that, and that's good enough for me. And then down here is just like one of those you know, things you have on your old hi-fi or something like that. Just some feedback for eye candy, whatever. Fill in the gap, I guess. I don't know. I like it. I'll put those on when I'm watching the video too, and just have that going, just so it looks cool. I don't know, I'm a dork. Yep. Anyway, that's pretty much it right there. There's something else you can't see going on behind the scenes. Is I have a mixer, right? And then the two channels are just guitar and drums. Oh, drums and guitar, sorry. You know, so I got the levels correct, you know, correct-ish, close enough. And yeah, I think that's about it. And I'm gonna record a little demo for you so you can hear kind of what it sounds like. Probably not the best recording, but you know, hey, this is my practice rig. If I want to record like a nice thing, I'll stick it in my DAW, you know, digital workstation, and then I'll master it and do all that stuff. This is just me practicing, and that's what I kind of want this channel to be: is me talking and practicing, and you know, or just jamming out. You know, I mean, you guys can join me for a little jam session, and I'll talk about some guitar stuff, like every other guitar channel, and I don't know. Maybe I'll talk about certain pieces of gear I have or something like that. But not do like full-on gear reviews. Or maybe I will do full-on gear reviews and they'll send me buckets of money and I could buy a turbo mansion. That'd be cool. But I don't know. For now though, let's not get ahead of ourselves, alright? Alright? Alright. So for now, enjoy what I recorded, and if you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe, and I hope you have a really nice day.